Good morning, Meteorologist Lisa Green here with an update on what we can expect as we make our way through a very foggy morning here this morning, when that fog will lift, and looking ahead to the rest of the week at some conditions that are going to be warm, and I think a lot of alumni and students at NDSU are going to be happy about our homecoming forecast for this weekend as well. So let's get right to it. You can see behind me we've got a lot of fog here this morning. This is actually a huge improvement on earlier morning views because we can actually see the road on I-94 in Fargo. It wasn't that long ago that this whole picture was gray, so already starting to see our visibility lifting here. On the other side of the metro, that was in Fargo. This is more toward the way station on I-94, kind of in that Moorhead, Dilworth area. The Minnesota DOT classifies this camera as Dilworth, so we call it Dilworth here. But you can see vehicles going by and emerging from the fog, but that fog is still there on I-94. And when you're traveling fast, it's hard to see what's in front of you until you're up upon it with this kind of fog. And I'm glad to see that vehicle there with its headlights on. Want to make sure when we're driving in fog that we've got our headlights and taillights on. I know nobody likes to be preached to, but it's good to be reminded of that if you have a vehicle that doesn't have automatic running lights. Or perhaps you have running lights in the front but not in the back. You want those taillights to be seen too in case you're driving slow or you have to slow down for someone in front of you and someone's coming up on you fast. You want them to be able to see you. So always good tips that we get from AAA, the DOT during fog events like this. So this is great to see too. This is a huge improvement even on just a few minutes ago in Thief River Falls. This camera has been very murky, very gray, and you can still see some fog in the distance, but it's improved quite a bit here as we continue on in the 10 o'clock hour. So let's take a look at our visibility reports. We only have one place now reporting zero visibility. That's Crookston. It's been pretty bad there. Heard from a viewer there saying it's pretty tough, and that was a couple of hours ago. So this continues in Crookston. Our visibility reports remain low in Hallock, Thief River Falls, Fargo, still reporting about a quarter-mile visibility. And then Wahpeton was at zero. We're now at just under a mile. Wheaton was around zero at it for a time today too. We're at about a half-mile visibility there. And then, I'm focusing in on the foggy areas, but there are places that haven't been all that foggy this morning. Detroit Lakes, Fergus Falls. We've been doing okay in those locations. So it depends, on where that fog formed, where you are, but you can definitely see in the valley area here, the immediate Red River Valley, a lot of places experience fog. Grand Forks visibility is about 3 miles. It's actually one of the lowest reports I've seen so far in Grand Forks this morning. It's been relatively okay in that area. So let's take a look at, this is our visible satellite map. I've got it on a loop, and because it's visible, there, at the beginning of the loop, we can't see the fog very well because it's still dark out, it's still nighttime. But toward the end of the loop, you can see that fog layer, that bank of clouds hugging the surface showing up here. And I do have it on a loop just to show you there's no movement here, which helps to indicate that we've got fog, just hanging on and it's not cloud cover passing by. But you can see this is up by Roseau, the international border in northwest Minnesota, back right through the Crookston area, right through the Fargo-Moorhead area, and then stretching down towards Sisseton. Other places, we're not seeing much as far as fog is concerned, so it's really kind of this narrow band of fog that's hanging around here this morning. So a reminder about fog safety. Again, don't want to preach too much, but just know that it's really important during these times to slow down, give yourself extra travel time. I know we think about doing those kind of things during a winter storm. We think about doing those kind of things during a downpour, but fog is also troublesome for drivers and can be dangerous. So make sure you're giving yourself extra stopping distance. And again, low beams, not high beams, and really important, do that extra take on these foggy mornings, that extra look before pulling out into an intersection. Make sure you're watching those crosswalks for pedestrians, especially in the morning when kids are walking to school and walking to their bus stops here. Just super important to be extra cautious is the bottom line during foggy mornings. So let's talk about when this will lift. So this is 10 a.m. where I've got this starting, and it's kind of the model lining up pretty well with where we're seeing the fog right now. And so as we go through time, we'll just go ahead a couple of hours here. Watch what happens. We're seeing that fog erode. Temperatures are warming up. That helps to dissipate those little cloud drops that are in the air, and we are looking at more and more of that happening as we progress in the afternoon. But even around noon, there may still be some pockets there that have some fog, so it's a little bit stubborn, but eventually it lifts and we've got clear skies, sunshine. Got our wind arrow here showing wind more southwesterly, but very light. Still not much of a factor for us for today. And we continue with some quieter weather heading into the nighttime hours tonight. We're going to move ahead to Thursday morning. And, you know, there may be a little bit of fog in the southeast, but right now I'm not seeing signs of more fog development coming up for Thursday morning. That doesn't mean we won't get it, especially with our current pattern that we're in. And so here for today, temperatures mid to upper 70s. Don't be surprised if you see an 80-degree temperature today. We're looking at more sunshine again into the afternoon hours, continuing. Should be really beautiful. And I do want to move ahead into the forecast for the rest of the week here this week. So again, we'll put the fog behind us, enjoy some sunshine this afternoon, and let's move ahead. Let's head into the daytime, into the overnight hours. Again, sorry to have this on repeat. We'll zip through. Heading into Thursday morning and during the day, Thursday and into Thursday night. Did you see much on the map? I didn't. We don't have a lot of, and even in the way of cloud cover on our way for the day on Thursday. So it's looking really quiet. Moving on into your Friday morning, we're going to pause things around 6:30, still pretty quiet. And I think that we still have a shot for some of us. Fargo's going to be pretty quiet. But if you're up along the international border for tomorrow night, Friday night, I'm getting ahead of myself. We're looking at the potential for some impacts from a low that's going to be passing by north of the border. So watch what happens here as we go through the morning. We'll head into the afternoon. This is 5 p.m., starting to see some clouds. There may also be some wind kicked up by this low, and that wind will be coming in out of the south. It might get a little breezier, and that might give us another surge of warmth, and we'll get well into the 80s perhaps. And then you see what happens here in the evening. We'll see that potential for most of the moisture staying north of the border, but some of it dipping south of the border. So if you're along and north of Highway 2 on Friday evening, that's an area that's going to want to make sure we're keeping an eye on the radar. On the VNL weather app, you can follow that and just have an idea of what might be coming your way. I know we have football games on Friday nights, that sort of thing. And so there is the potential. It's a low-end chance, but still the possibility that we may still see some rain Friday night and maybe even, you know, a little lightning too. So something to be careful of if you're in one of our border communities especially. The rest of us south of Highway 2 should be pretty quiet Friday. Even into Friday evening should be a quiet day. So that's great because I know we have the homecoming parade for NDSU Friday evening in Fargo. And then that moves on, and we're starting off Saturday morning on a quiet note. So speaking of NDSU homecoming, let's take a look at the next several days. I know we've got some events going on today. We're going to move ahead since we went over today's forecast quite a bit into Thursday. You can see we're looking at that potential for, you know, some patchy morning fog, a possibility. But really, that lifts, and as we get into the afternoon, we're enjoying some sunshine, temperatures into the 70s. Morning lows, too, critical, of course, this time of year, as, you know, if you haven't had your plants killed by some freeze that we had earlier in the month, we are looking at some overnights that are pretty comfortable, heading into Friday morning, right around 50 degrees, and then warming back into some low 80s Friday. Again, a reminder, this is for NDSU homecoming, so this forecast is for Fargo. So we're looking at sunshine all day, sunny, warm, and breezy. But if you're up by the border, it'll be quiet most of the day, and breezy for you too. But again, we're watching for that possibility for a shower Friday evening. So parade looks really good for Friday. Heading into Saturday for a homecoming, you know, if you're heading out to a tailgate party, it's looking good. Morning hours, you know, 8 a.m., we're talking about 51 degrees. A little cool, you might want the jacket to start. I think tailgating starts at 7:30 if I remember right, so around that time where we're at daybreak at that point. And then as the day goes on, we warm up. It may not be as warm as Friday, but we'll still be getting into some low to mid 70s for highs and more sunshine. So just looking beautiful for after the game as well as you're hopefully celebrating an NDSU win. So again, looking really like great weather for homecoming events coming up. And for the full weekend ahead, here's a look at what we can expect. Again, we're looking at Saturday, low to mid 70s, lots of sunshine, beautiful weather for the first weekend of fall. And then Sunday, look at this. We're getting toasty again, some upper 70s, maybe even up into some mid 80s coming up for Sunday. So we're looking at that surge of warmth returning again for the weekend, and maybe not feeling so much like fall out there. But I know a lot of folks, you know, getting in that fall spirit, want to check out those fall colors. So here's the latest update from the Minnesota DNR. And yesterday we saw the orange show up on the map. What does that mean? Well, that means we're at 50 to 75% of peak color. And so this area specifically, Hallock, down toward the Warren area, into northwest Minnesota, that's where we're seeing some of our colors getting close to peak color. So it really is starting. Most of us still in that patchy phase, but starting to see some signs of getting closer to peak coming up here as we head toward the weekend. So something to keep in mind. And if you're going out leaf peeping, we'd love to see your photos. Here's today's photo. This is from Sandy, and she took this picture at Buffalo Lake Campground. And what I've been loving lately is, you know, the weather's been pretty quiet this week. We've had dry conditions, so it's been nice to have that blue sky in the background. But also, it's not windy. So the lakes, the water, just like glass and that reflection, just beautiful. We get that double treat of fall color. So again, thanks Sandy for sharing that. And if you got a photo to upload, whether it's fall color like this or maybe just some fall activities you're out doing, we'd love to see it. Go to our homepage, go to the submit button at the bottom of the screen, and we'll go back and play this again. This kind of loops through for you. We'll just open up your VNL weather app on the homepage, and then it's right at the bottom right. There's a submit button, nice and easy. That also takes you to our website too, so you can see other conditions as well. But it'll open up our weather pictures tab, and there's an add media right there. And so if you took the picture on your phone, nice and easy, you can just pull it from your phone. And we just appreciate that. It helps us to see the progression of fall color. We love to share that with our viewers, get everybody excited about fall. If you're out at a pumpkin patch, out at a corn maze, we want to see all your fall activities. So you can upload those again to our website, either via the app, or this same page will show up if you go to a desktop site or on your laptop. You can upload it there as well when you head to our weather page. So again, conditions are quieting. We are so quiet. We've had some fog this morning, but we stay with quiet conditions through the rest of the week. There's that very slight chance for rain as we head into Friday night. And then Saturday and Sunday, again, looking beautiful for the weekend. And then we're moving into the last couple of days of September here, Monday and Tuesday. A little breezy, still warm. October is a week away, October 1st on Wednesday. And it's the first heading into the second that some of our longer range models are hinting at a system finally moving in after some quiet weather that we've had recently. So we'll watch that move in for next week, and we'll keep you up to date on how that's shaping up for us for the week. But it doesn't really cool us down much. We're still looking at high temperatures in the 70s, lows in the 40s and 50s for a lot of our mornings. So again, looking really quiet. It's so quiet that we have had the fog, so that remains a hazard for us for a couple more hours this morning before that lifts. By noon, most of us will be done with it. But in the meantime, want to be careful as we're out and about trying to get to our places. Just keep an eye out for folks. And enjoy the beautiful sunny weather coming up for the rest of the day today. We'll pull up our camera here so you can watch that fog as it continues to very gradually lift in Fargo. And we'll be back tomorrow, hopefully not talking as much about fog, hopefully just focusing on the beautiful, bright, sunny weather to come as we head toward the weekend. Have a great day.